Hello! We are live again, hopefully. Maybe? Yes? No? Oh, YouTube. So yeah, welcome to another Mac84 live stream. I'm Steve. We'll be trying to fix something today. We know so well how that goes around this channel, but we will try. And so today, it's nothing too new. In fact, I was playing around with this this past September. And as you can guess by the title and the thumbnail of this video, we are going to try and work out what the heck is wrong with this Quadra 610. So we have Jay in the chat. Hello, Jay. We have RNG456. Hello, RNG. And yeah, a few people are shuffling in. Matt's here. Hello, Matt. So this stream should hopefully not be too long today. I do have prior obligations, so if I have to dart out at 7:30 or 8 o'clock or something like that, you know why. Fair warning. So where do I even begin with this? Oh, hello, Bruce. Where do I even begin with this machine? I guess I'll begin with how I got it. As if you weren't around when I did the September stream, essentially I got a boxed Quadra 610, and this is the Quadra from that box. Along with that boxed Quadra came, I'm looking for the box because an Apple Color Plus 14-inch display. So a 14-inch CRT monitor, and an Apple adjustable keyboard, which is pretty cool to have in the box. It's not, a very standard or very common keyboard is the word I was looking for. So, ooh, Bruce is going to play along with the home version, so he's going to play along with his 610 at home. This makes it much easier to troubleshoot, Bruce, I must say. So I'm going to have to ship you off some Mac84 buttons and down there to where you are. Probably will cost an arm and a leg and take forever to get there, but I think I'll have to do that for you. Exactly, Matt, exactly. Oh, Jay. Oh, yeah, have fun with that. So I will be trying out a few things today. Unfortunately, because I'm limited on time today, I'm not able to set up this little tripod holder thing. But I will do my best to make this stream interesting, so you are not staring at the back of my head while I shake my fist at a motherboard for a few hours. So I'll try to use this camera, to use the microscope camera, and all these other things to try and make it a bit more entertaining. So, alright, so yeah, I got this machine, and it made the death chimes, and then it didn't really want to do anything. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate what it does when you do plug it in. I've taken the top off of this, of course. I've taken the hard drive out, taken the CD drive out, because we just want to troubleshoot the basics here. So what I'm going to do is just bring the camera down a little bit. Maybe. Oh, it's stuck. This camera is a little... There we go. Alright, so you can wave yourself. You can see yourself in the comments. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not even going to plug this into a display or anything because it doesn't really do much. But what I would like to show you is what happens when I try to power it on, or lack thereof. So let's plug the power supply into the board here. We have two Molex connectors. This is for the hard disk and the CD-ROM drive. I've removed the PRAM battery. I do have a working one here, but doesn't really. I don't believe this model needs it. And we have nothing else basically plugged in except for the floppy disk drive. So I'm going to plug the power supply in here. And these lovely machines have a manual power button on the front. Testing latency. Okay, Bruce. And yeah, so I'm going to... Usually if you just stick your finger in this hole, you might be able to push the button down, but you'll probably like scrape up your finger because there's metal all around this button. So yeah, so I'm just going to jab this in there. There's a power light here that may come on because I believe the power supply works fine. But yeah, so let's try that out. And we get nothing. The fan's working. Also, my reaction time is poor, Bruce. And the LED light is on, so I could hear the power supply fan going. I could, sort of see that, and I see this LED is on. Now, what happened when I first got this machine is essentially I would get the death chimes, the do-do-do-dun, da-dun-da-dun, which is a very bad sad Mac sound. So I'm going to turn this off. And what I thought was the issue was the capacitor. So I did not have the fancy tantalum capacitors I have now. I don't think I was thoroughly, what's the word I want to say? Thoroughly brought through Bruce's school of recapping. So I did not really know what the heck I was doing as far as capacitors go. I just used what I had. And while they are the same value, it should theoretically work with these capacitors, even though they're not the best. However, what I want to make sure is that I'm actually not encountering a different issue, like maybe the traces are bad or something like that, because I didn't have that little microscope. Well, I did, I just didn't have it plugged in at the time, so I wasn't able to look around at the board. So I'm going to take the board out of here. We're going to get a better look at this thing, and we're going to see if we can actually figure out what the heck is going on here, because to my naked eye, everything looks okay, but this could be something that's a bit more involved. Maybe there's a bad trace or a pad that's been removed. I remember one of the pads looked a little suspect when I was removing it back in September, but my memory is a little flaky, so we're going to just try this out manually. So you guys were doing some latency tests in the comments, so oh, I see. You were putting your comment there and seeing it on screen. How about that? Yeah, actually, the little screen I use, this is what I'm looking at to see myself, and then here's like the microscope display. I assume this is being blown up to 1080p and looks maybe better on a TV screen or a monitor, but I don't even know if you could read your own comments there, so I maybe have to be careful of what information I show on there. Anyway, let's take this thing out of the board, out of the case rather. Take this thing out of the case, and we'll get a better look at it. So we're unplugging the floppy cable, which provides data and power to the floppy disk drive. We are unplugging the speaker cable, and we are unplugging that little LED light in the front. So nothing too exciting to see here, so I'm not moving the camera, but I am going to pull out the board. And this is what we're going to be focusing on. If I can actually get the darn thing out of here. Oh, that's right. There. So these little brackets here. There we go. Okay, so let me bring this up. Let me get this pizza box case out of the way, which, oh boy, we're just still plugged in. Let's undo that. And let's put this unseen away from everybody else. But it's going to hit into me during my stream. Okay, let's see. My 6100 CD has to be power cycled on-off if no PRM battery is present. Don't know if this machine is similar or not. Well, we can, I believe I tried with the PRM battery, but it's not chiming or it's not making any problems like, doing anything like that. The 6100 Power Macintosh series I have are Performas, and they don't seem to need the PRM battery, but let's just see if this one has any juice left in it. Maybe not. Well, that could be it. I don't believe these required a PRM battery to boot, and when I had the original capacitors in there and it was giving me the death chimes, there was no PRM battery in there. But if you guys believe that a PRM battery may be the culprit, I will try to find one with a suitable charge, and we will test that. But I'm not really believing that that's the case here. I'm not saying I'm not willing to try it, but that would not be my first guess here. Yes, thank you, Jay. This is why I need you guys on my stream, otherwise I'll forget and then my batteries die. So I'm just looking at this quickly here. I'm not seeing anything too suspicious. There's a lot of dust that accumulated on this thing because I stored it with the case off. But I think there was a. Do I want to say there was a short in the capacitor? I mean, not a short, but you know, it was reading itself as had continuity through it. Let me just double check here before I make assumptions, because Bruce could play along at home. That's weird. It sort of chirps like it's gonna beep and then it doesn't. So I'm not really sure what to make of that. So if I go to the positive to negative, you'll hear a faint electronic noise, but it's not that noise. It's just almost like a very, very quick, like a hey, you know. Yeah. But okay, so let's get our microscope friend in here. I'm probably going to end up taking off all of these capacitors, maybe. Like I said, I don't think they're really. I mean, who knows? Maybe they are the cause of this problem here, but maybe it's something different here. So, oh, that lead fell right off there. Okay, all right. So let's leave that there. Okay, so let me bring the camera in a little closer, and let's point this down here. I'm going to switch to the microscope now and again, but let's just all get on the same page here. So I do have a magnifying glass here, but thanks, Jay, for reminding me. And we'll see how much we could get through tonight. We might end up going over, which is hardly the surprise of anybody here. Okay, so let's turn this little dinky thing on. And I just want to take a look to see. And I'll switch to this in a second. Yeah, this is a lot of dust and hair on it. Good evening, Trina. So, we are just going to look and see what is on the board now. As far as the current capacitors that replace the originals there. I could see that solder pad does not look as happy as some of the others. I am actually going to, as soon as I put my multimeter away, I bring it back. I'm actually going to see if that pad is actually making its continuity to that pin there. And it's actually, it does not seem like I could actually, of course we have a little camera in the way here, but I'm trying to touch, let's do it with this one here. I'm trying to touch a little, at least maybe my vision is going, but it looks like this trace goes to this little part here, yep. And so I'm trying to put my multimeter there, which it is. And it should be beeping. It should be making a noise. Well, of course, it's touching itself, it is, but that's a little suspect right there. If this pad has... I think this was the worst one of the bunch. If this pad is not actually making continuity anymore, I would suspect that that's potentially an issue. Now, there could be solder mask or something over this pin here that I'm not seeing. Let's see if I could find a similar spot in the board and test my hypothesis here. Of course, there's this floppy disk connector right here that's making it... Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to determine, Jay, because throughout the board there are some that have little copper traces around it, but on others there is not. Yeah, I might want to scrape that away. I mean, I guess I should remove the capacitors first, but I mean, I guess that's what I should do if I want to look for problems, but I'm also... I mean, I didn't do the best job soldering these capacitors on anyway, so it's not like, you know, I'm going to lose sleep over it or anything. Try using a paperclip or some kind of metal for the one you are trying to use on the smaller connector. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to let me point it out from a different angle here and see if this is easier for everyone to follow along with. Yeah, so I didn't do a good job with these at all. I mean, this is... I'll keep making excuses for myself, but yeah, these are... There's no illusion in my mind. I'm not that delusional that these were done properly. And so, there's a cat hair or something there. Makes it look huge, but it's very, very tiny, or lint or something. Yeah, so I'm gonna see. I see one of the. Let's see if I could find another example right here, just to see. Well, yeah. Let me see something here, because there is another capacitor that I know. Here's one. Yeah, see that's. I'll show you exactly the one I just tested here. So this is what I'm hoping to do on the other one, and apologize for moving the camera around so much, but I want to show you things. I don't want it to be static and boring. Of course, my USB cable has its limits here. Of course it does, and it's pulling oh, come on, it's pulling the darn thing. Okay, so let's focus this a bit better. Okay. And yeah, so this is what basically I was trying to do. So I could definitely see, here's the solder point, which is huge, and here's the spot on the board where it goes to. And if I carefully position my leads here, if I can actually do it, I'll hear a beep because I'm making that circuit complete there. Oh, hello, Greg. What you missed? You didn't miss much. You just took the board out of the computer. And a good eep to you. That'll definitely wake you up if I keep eeping at you. Yeah, so that is kind of what I was trying to do on the other capacitors there. So let's take a look. Not that my newfound knowledge is so radically different. Well, actually, it probably is from since I last did this, but I definitely didn't have all the tools and stuff I have now. So let's see. Actually, we have this one. Looks like there's here to here. See that? That looks like it has some exposed there, right? Wouldn't you say? At least I could see some, but the probe may not be making it all the way there. Yeah, that definitely does. Okay. So yeah, there might just be some solder mask in play or some plastic from the board or whatever. Just making it a little difficult to... And all I'm trying to do is just confirm that things are actually touching where they should. There could be another problem that I'm just not at all aware of. That could be causing the problem to this board. I mean, alright, so that seems to be making a connection for that pin. And again, this one here, which is slightly away from what you're looking at. And this camera is just awful, but I'm not gonna... I almost bought a camera that Jay suggested, but looking up the specifications, it's pretty much the exact same camera, it just had a different stand. So that wasn't gonna help us out really. Yeah, I'm gonna just see if this is actually, because this, I think if I recall correctly, this capacitor here, this C54, was the worst out of them. Was the absolute worst. It was just a disgusting mess. So, not that I want to really, of course the camera's like right above what I'm trying to show you. So, yeah, let me use Trina's suggestion there, and let's see if I have a little piece of wire or something. A paperclip might be too big actually, but if I just have something I could just point in there just to because this probe pin is a little bit too big, I'd say. Almost like if I had a sewing needle, which of course I don't have here. That would just be way too convenient. We can't have that in our streams now, can we? Just looking around. This might work. Hey, Tim. So, this is an old... I don't know how I've gotten... Well, I know how it got on the floor, but this is just an old piece of, like a pin from a capacitor. Even though it's nothing special or anything, what I'm going to try and do is just see if that fits near that little hole better. This is very scientific, of course. Where'd my good tweezers go? There they are. Because my fingers ain't the best for this. There we go. And so I'm just trying to rule out things here. And so I don't want to assume that this capacitor is actually... Maybe just scraping it off is the easiest thing here. I'm being convoluted and such. But let me see if I could just... Of course, I have to move the camera because my right hand is in the way then of what I'm trying to do. So this will be the show where Steve moves around the camera more than you could count. And the image doesn't look too bad for the quality of this camera once I get it there, but getting it there is the fun part. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of scraping. Very, very slight. Of course, I guess I could actually go from the bottom also. Just see if anything from the bottom is making contact to it, but I don't even have room to move this that much because I'm right up against the floppy connector and the capacitor here. If you did that, I think everyone would be terribly drunk by the end of this stream, which may help me financially, so have at it. I don't think that really did anything, but oh, it did. How about that? Alright, well, that is making a connection there. So, we're able to do that. We're able to do this one. That one works. I'm just testing the ones right next to it. Yeah, so it seemed like those aren't the issue. Let me move this camera about, and we'll try some of the other ones here. Let me actually switch. You can't really see that good here because the camera's still far up. But let me see if. Oh boy, I cannot be responsible for anyone's drinking habits. I'm just testing here to see if these are actually going to where they're going, and we have to move back to the microscope again because this board, the traces are green on green. So, so this is it's a very not something easy you could see with your own eyes. So. Yes, this is that is a sine J. It's actually 1666, but we'll go with whatever you'd like. So this one looks like it's from right here to there, and again, yeah. I mean, well, I was about to say I'm not going to scrape away the board, and I just every piece, but I sort of just did that with the probe here. I'm not seeing any. I mean, there's some residue flux and crap here. I'm not seeing any huge signs that, like, something here is causing a problem. Yeah, I'm just checking the polarity of the capacitors. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, and that's fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's, yeah. So this is the only area, and I'll show you guys on the microscope here. The only two areas on this board that I had concerns about was, if we could get this to focus here, was this area here, and this capacitor here. So this one smelled like fish when I took it off. Now this was cleaned in alcohol, so there's some gunk that's still here that I could probably brush away. But these two pins at the end look like they got the worst of it. One actually looks like it's eaten away a little bit, or maybe I scraped it away, because you could see some of the. Let's try and get closer to that. Yeah, I could definitely put some fresh solder on that and touch this up with some flux. But from what I remember testing, rotting meat flux. The other flux is coming in the mail. I remember it making continuity with the pads on the board. So unless my logic is flawed there, as long as it's making continuity, it should work. But it wouldn't hurt to touch that up there. But the capacitor next to it, again with the huge solder blobs for legs. Well, wait, we got some rust here. That's probably not good, I'd say. I guess this is one of the crystals there. I mean, it's only in that one spot, and that could have been from the capacitor being right next to it, or who knows. It's so far away from the battery, and the battery did not explode or anything, so that's questionable. I'm just gonna see if let's of course get the focus. There we go. Just curious. Yeah, there's some. I mean, I don't think cleaning this off is really gonna do anything, but. Oh, that looks delicious, doesn't it? It's like a cocoa powder. I'm kind of suspicious what's under that, but I don't necessarily. Yeah, make sure there's rust cars under. Now you tell me. No, I will do my best to try and get this away from all the other components. But I think that's the only speck of rust I see on this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna look at the underside of the board just for a second. I'm just moving the. Oh yeah, this is what happens when you lay your hand on or your body parts or your arm or whatever on the board. You get nice imprints of where the. You stupid microscope. You leave nice imprints on your hand. That's what I was trying to show. Seems small for crystal, but I know nothing about the machines. Are they much bigger on other vintage Macs? Some of them are, yes. Some of those crystals are much bigger. This is a small one. So I'm just flipping the board over real quick. Just seeing if there's anything that jumps out to me. I see a lot of streaking from the alcohol bath, and that's probably not like the best thing in the world for this at this point in time, but I don't see it necessarily causing a problem. But here, let me show you one of the areas here that I'm talking about. So again, this light does not show off exactly what I'm trying to reposition this. This light on the end of this little microscope does not really show things perfectly, but it gives you an example. So there's some little like particles of probably dried alcohol here, and yeah, I mean it's not the cleanest board by any means, but I'm not seeing any, at least to my eyes, not anything that immediately pops out of something that's wrong. Got a little chip here. We got this is interesting here. We have a little Well, it looks like a component almost could have got here. I bet you Bruce's board is the same. If he flips his over, maybe there's little red dots to, when the pick and place machine would put a part on the board to solder. Maybe his is a different revision or something, but maybe it's not. But that's interesting there. I'm just taking a look. I don't see anything that's like fallen off. I don't see any little caps that have been misplaced or something. Yeah. Again, because this machine did do a chime. Well, at least it was a sad Mac chime. The chimes of death. When it had the bad capacitors on there. So, no, not much, Bruce. I was just curious if your board had. I'm guessing there's no component missing here, but this is directly by the expansion slot on the rear of the board. So if you flip the board upside down, by the expansion slot away from the side where the ports are. I was just curious if you had these little 4 dots there, but I'm assuming that's not the. There's no component missing there or anything like that. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't see any clear signs of any capacitors or these little resistors or anything falling off the board or anything like that. There is some evidence that this needs to be cleaned better because there's some alcohol streaks on here from when I gave it a bath. Unused adhesive blobbies. I mean, that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like it was anything fell off or anything like that. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I have a 610, or maybe I did. Just the test squirts. Okay. Yeah, I know I have a Centra 650. I had, I still have a 660 AV, a Quadra 660 AV. It's essentially a very similar board, but with the AV in and out ports on it. And I have that board somewhere. I think I know exactly where it is in the garage. There's a little box that it's in. But yeah, I mean this is kind of a mystery to me because I am very curious what could be causing all this trouble. That's why I was, sort of assuming it had to be the capacitors, because at least when I turned it on, it was getting a sad Mac chime, the death chimes, and I just assumed, okay, well, it must be capacitor related. So the exact issue is when I turn the machine on, there's nothing, no chime, nothing. So my assumption was that it was the capacitors, which I saw visible signs of them leaking a little bit and smelling horrible. So I assumed, okay, well, it's got to be the caps. And I think I did a few hours on this just trying to recap the darn thing. And unfortunately, these are the only caps I had on hand, were these little, radial ones. So, yeah. So your 610 doesn't turn on either, Bruce? Unfortunately, Jay, the tech step did not have ROMs for this one, so the tech step is not really usable in this situation, unfortunately. But yeah, Bruce, I'm curious if yours has a similar issue, or what the history behind yours may be. No, I actually don't think the ROMs were produced for the tech step, because I think they stopped that around 93, or stopped distributing it about 93 or so. And I think only 4 or 5 sets of ROMs were made for it. I think they sort of stopped. No power light comes on, power supply comes on, but no chime. Interesting. Yeah, so we do have a similar issue here. Now it looks like, so there are 4 slots on this board here, and I don't know why I'm using the microscope to illustrate this, but there are 4 slots on the board. 2 are for memory and 2 are for video memory. I believe there is some video memory on board and there is some memory on board, so it should be able to do something without it. So I think I broke mine, so maybe not a good example. Hey, Pseudos, just popping in for a sec. Yeah, I believe that. These were not fast machines, so if somebody did some weird emulation trick and they tried to put OS 10 on here. Ooh, that reminds me of the Pair PC project where someone loaded Mac OS 10 on the Celeron Xbox, which was, ugh, that's very sad. Yeah, so let me switch cameras here. Hello, Charlie. Greetings. And so let's see. This is a 610. I don't think you have a 620. Oh no, you have a 610, yes. Which is so the Centra 610 and the Quadra 610 are identical. Which is why I asked you to grab that, because if this board ends up not working, at least I could take the board from your machine. But yeah, they just they ditched the Centris name and they rebranded it a Quadra, which was what Apple decided to move forward with. And there's a whole interesting story behind that. But yeah, I would like to tell it if I could get this working and do a proper unboxing of the machine at the box and everything, because it is a pretty nice condition box and has some accessories and booklets and things. Yeah. What's interesting is there is a spot for a ROM sim connector here. So if I was skilled enough or whatever, I'd be able to do that. But yeah, interesting. There were 2 revisions of the Centris and Quadra. My Quadra is unfortunately the LC0401, and the other one is the normal one that came a little later. So yeah, there are actually 2 revisions of this series, which is interesting. So I'm interested to see which one Jay has, and I know I have. I think I have a board for one somewhere else. Yeah, Charlie, they used a similar case, but the processor on the 6100 Performa line is obviously a PowerPC one and not a Motorola 68K. But yeah, Apple reused the case for these models. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck yet again of what the heck to do with this darn thing. I don't believe it needs video memory to boot because I don't believe this came with any. Or maybe it didn't, I took it out and I forgot. That would not be surprising. But it should at least chime. It looks like the processor is socketed. I could take that off, but I don't think that would solve anything. So we have our ROMs here. ROM low, ROM high. These 2 chips here. From a Quadra 640, you mean? I might be interested in that pseudos. See you, Charlie. Okay. Well, that's good to know, Bruce. In fact, I will take these off just in case. In case there's something wrong with the slots or the DIMMs or who knows. A Quadra 630. Oh, I'm sorry. There were so many of these darn things that it's hard for it to keep track of. I'm just taking a better... Oh, actually, this might... Hold on. Let me test something with my multimeter, and then if it is as exciting... Oh, come on. As exciting as I think it is, we'll zoom into it. Let's see. That might be something. Maybe? So, what I'm looking at here, and let me get this in focus and I'll switch it over, because no one likes watching me focus things. But this is right next to the capacitors here. So, let's transition here. Alright, so it looks a little suspicious to me. This is what I'm looking at is right here. So we have this pin, which I'm guessing corresponds to this hole right here, right? I'm guessing. Now, if I try and test the continuity between this pin and that hole, I get nothing. And it doesn't exactly look the cleanest there. Oh, I think we have a broken trace here. Or at least a dirty trace right here. That, you know, maybe something as well. Maybe it's just... Yeah, let's try and clean that up a bit. That might be problematic. I'm just gonna lightly, yeah, Jay. I'm just gonna lightly touch this, see if. So I can't even see this with my naked eye here. It might just be like the way the light is reflecting or anything, but yeah. So let's see where that goes. So that goes to, of course, it doesn't go to the pin that's there. So this goes from here. So this goes from here all the way around there. Keeps on the outside here, and then I lose it. It goes way through to this AC/DC row over here. But let me try something here. Let me put this here. Let's see if it touches anything. I'm just dragging my pins here across the board. Yeah, so what I'm doing here, and maybe this is a better example if I use the larger camera here. There we go. So what I'm doing is I am taking this probe and I'm putting it at the spot that goes into this thread here. Oh, well, all right, well, it's touching something, so I just solved my own question here. But I was seeing this line goes from here all the way through here. So it goes through these sims here, and it touches one of these things here. So that is making continuity. So that trace, although maybe it looks a little suspect, is still intact. Now that little piece there, let me just see if there's anything on the bottom around there. So it's very scientific. Yeah, let me see something here. If I could put this there, let's see if so I'm curious if, I mean, I don't even know what these chips are right here, to be honest, so could very well be nothing, but yeah, there's nothing really exposed on the bottom I could probe, so that's not going to help. Let's get another closer look in there. Let me again focus this guy here. And the lighting makes this look terrible. I mean, I obviously probably did not do a good job cleaning this stuff anyway, but yeah, these solder joints are looking yucky, and yeah, there's probably the flux that I didn't fully clean off of this, but especially by this chip here, that hole, I mean, it looks a little suspect to me. I'm probably just picking at things here just because I'm trying to determine what could be causing this machine not to chime. So it could just very well be I'm just chasing stuff here. But that's what we do. Trying to figure this out. Just taking a closer look here around the, I assume are the memory. Yeah, so we have the ROM sim connector here. I assume these are the memory banks here, as you can see in my little tiny video here. I believe these are the memory banks here right next to the memory. I'm seeing there's some alcohol streaking here. It looks like, let's get a closer look over there. It looks like there's some, I wouldn't say corrosion, but maybe it's just from the alcohol streaks. It's, you know, just some dirty crap there, which of course doesn't help, but not really scraping, I'm just brushing some of this stuff aside. Not necessarily something I would consider that would be causing that issue, but again, yeah. So I don't know if I should just try recapping it again. I mean, that certainly didn't help the Macintosh 2CX, for better or worse. I'm not sure if there's some other underlying issue. I'm curious, Bruce, if yours, if you recapped yours, I assume yes. Yeah, I don't know if Bruce, if yours has any obvious signs of something that was wrong with it, or if you're in a similar puzzled state to mine. Be very curious to know. Oh, okay, so yeah, so what about your RP3 IC pin, Bruce? Is that actually making a connection there for you? I should have asked you that outright, but so it's the one closest to that bundle of capacitors there. So yours is making continuity there, okay? From if I understand your response correctly, because I forget what I just say sometimes. Yeah, I mean it's so close to the capacitors there that it could easily be something that has leaked. Like I said, these capacitors are not in the best condition, hence why they were removed. But if I zoom in on that area here again, it's not the worst I've seen, but it's definitely, it doesn't look like the rest of them. That's what I'll say. And I'm not scraping, I'm just probing here. I'm just seeing if there's, looks like there's some gunk. In fact, let me make this this screen larger so I can see it, because unfortunately it's hard to see because I don't have an optical microscope here. Jumbo wire time. Let's go to view. How can I multi-view windowed? Oh, that I'm just trying to see in OBS how I could make how I can actually get my view screen to be larger. Actually, I'm not going to mess with that. I think I could just open up a QuickTime Player. I think I could just do a new movie recording. And I think I should be able to select that camera if it doesn't complain that it's already in use or anything like that. Yes, I can see. Okay, so that's better. I could sort of see a much larger view of it. I mean, it's still not the best quality or anything, but it kind of looks some like there's some green here, especially at the foot of this. Just seeing if anything's just flaking off here. I mean, I don't really think I'm doing much here. But if this should be making connection with this, and it's not, that is problematic because it should. So let's again try our multimeter, make sure we're not driving ourselves crazy here. And of course I nudged the camera, so the camera has been nudged. Let's go back to where we were supposed to look here. Let's try and focus using this manual focus wheel, which is very temperamental. There we go. So, yeah, I mean that This point here also doesn't look the best, but I also poked at it a bunch. So let's see, if I go here and here, see that? That should be going beep beep. Whoop. Why was it doing that? Hold on. Well, I was touching the pins together because they're so darn close. Bruce, is there another pin that you can identify on this chip that makes contact with pin 4? So I'm not like on top. Well, I guess I could drag this around. I guess not. Sorry, asking you is easier than doing something, so I'm just being lazy. Yes, so I'm just put some flux on it and melt some fresh solder on it. Okay, I will do that. Yeah, I'm just very curious why this was being like that. But you know what? We got the orders. We got the orders from Bruce himself, and we're going to. Whoopsie. We're gonna. Oh, what am I doing? I have some new solder tips. Where are they? Let me get them. Here we go. These are straight from the ones Jay recommended, which was great because the ones that he originally recommended, these ones, were out of stock, and I picked up another set, and I don't think they were as good. Ooh, these are pretty. And they're a nice little case, so I won't get confused. And the tinning I ordered is coming soon, so maybe I won't ruin these right now. Because I have, this will just be a very quick thing, hopefully. Yeah. But I do have those new wow, I can't use words today. I do have those new tips to use, which would be nice to use. Alright, so I'm just going to let the soldering iron warm up for should just take a minute or so. And we'll get our nasty flux out, which we're trying to use up as much as we can before the new stuff comes. Yes, quick. It's 7:30 already. Yeah, we gotta hurry up. Who knows? Maybe this will fix it. I like to be optimistic, but then I remember my track record and I just get sad. So, alright, so let's see if that is the issue. That's also a very small spot, but this flux should hopefully guide the way, which is of course going to be fun because that's very much in a area that has a lot of little pins and contacts and such. We will see if that helps. Well, if I put too much flux, I think it'll just go all over all the pins, but I guess that wouldn't really hurt it. It will just reflow. It'll just reflow the pins next to it. I was just, forgetting, not forgetting, just assuming that it might touch something else or whatever. But don't worry, we'll get the microscope zoomed in there so you can see exactly how I'm fudging it up, and you could judge me. So let me let the soldering iron warm up. I'm just gonna grab a drink of water. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay. You have a lot of confidence in me. I hope that is well invested, because I poke fun at myself all the time. Who am I kidding? Okay, so let's... is that enough disgusting flux for you? Don't even think that was a minute, but okay, guys. Okay, I see how this is gonna go. But I can show off the new wick I got. So here is the wick that I had, which was good. And here's the new one. I'll go to that in a second. Sorry. Here's the new one. This is super wick, no clean. So this should be good, hopefully. Yeah, here's the smaller one. Now, this is a big one. So hopefully I got a good one. I guess Bruce will tell me in about 2 seconds if I didn't before I open this. So I could return it if it's actually a bad one. But I assume since I had pretty good results with this super wick, that I should look for the other one that they have there, the larger one. So hopefully this is good. It's super wick number 453 NS no clean. This is 427 fine braid. So okay, you never tried that one. Well, we'll see. It got good reviews. People said they liked it. So this super wick was much better than the cheapo one I tried. But anyway, let's get back to the microscope here. So here's a ton of flux on that little chip there. And what I'm going to do is just see if my iron is nice and hot, which it seems to be. Come over here. It'll be a voyage of discovery. That's such a nice way of putting it, you know. You could have just easily said, "Oh, you got the wrong one, you idiot." Fluxtastic. Okay, great. So I'm going to I guess I'm going to do this gently. I have some solder on the tip here. Just trying to... It doesn't look like it did much except make it angry. Look at that. Unless that's just garbage from the dirt that was there previously, which I can clean up because I have Q-tips. Let's what was I going to do? I was going to just briefly show off a bunch of Q-tips. So, they're not pink, Jay, so we're good. But, yeah, I mean, it looks like it's burnt. I really don't know what that is. Let's try and clean it. I'm guessing I should try and clean it. Let's see. Let's see if I could... This up here, we have a fresh Q-tip here. Let's see where I put the alcohol, because kind of important. Let's see if it is it. Yeah, here it is. I put it behind here, and we'll use our little cup again to put some in. Let's see what happens if I try and clean this up. Ew. That is that helped. That might have been cap juice. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I mean, or it could have just been flux. I'm not sure, to be honest. Looks pretty gnarly, I'll tell you that much. It just looked like I don't know if the solder got to it. I mean, it doesn't really look like it, to be honest. I'm just going to try briefly with the multimeter, but still nothing. Yes, if I touch this, it beeps. You know, touching the probe itself. It's not doing anything for me here. It's a little concerning. I mean, I'll keep trying. More flux. More flux. Oh, he's doing voices again. Yes, he is. Different accents, too. Oh, God. This is the... boy. This actually would be a case where a fine tip would probably be more helpful at this point. Huh? Well, we got some on it. We got some solder on it. Yes. The new flux is in the mail, sir. I wish I could get it to come faster, but I cannot. Bruce, I could just imagine you just saying that. Yeah, that flux is garbage, and it's just making me laugh. Introduce some new solder there at the same time, not on your tip. Okay, I will do that. I just want to try and see if I get some of that garbage away. This is just much tinier than I'm used to doing, so let's put more garbage on there, and I'm sure as soon as I get the new flux, I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have done this sooner, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, I need to see where I'm going first. Here we go. I forgot to turn my little fan on here. I'm breathing in all these beautiful fumes. That did not seem to want to do much. Ah, boy. It left a nice pool of flux there, though. I think I have to scrape away that hole a little bit. I don't think... Well, first let me clean up this garbage. I'm guessing that... Let's see. Again, this is super tiny. Yes, and it does not seem to be sticking to this hole, unfortunately. What did I just pull out of that hole? Uh-oh. Well, I might have just taken the metal right out of it. I really wasn't pushing hard, to be honest. Isn't that lovely? Well. Well, Jay, it seems that we may need, we may need that other board. Oh God. I should not be laughing, but, well, that's, jeez. That's one way to not do it. Yeah. Hold on. I got some wire to run. I need... That's so stupid of me. I need to, I need to figure out where the heck this goes now. Lovely. There's a nice gaping hole there. Bruce is sending me an image, or a YouTube link, rather. Dare I click on it? Oh, now the chat says it's not working, so... Bruce broke the chat. Oh, I see why. Repairing damaged pads. Yes, Bruce. Thank you. Wait, now I can't get your comments back. Hold on. Hold on. Where'd the chat go? Come on, chat. Come back, please. Maybe? There we go. Yes, yes, it probably will be. Is this the one where you put a blob of solder on, yes, and you run the little wire? You pull it through? Yes. Yes, I've watched this before, and I will probably need to watch it a few more times before I absorb all of that in. But my question now is, where does this little pin go? Ugh, that's disgusting flux here. Where does this little pin go that I can grab it and find where it ends up? So that is going to be problematic, I'm assuming. Yes. So let me move the camera here. I'm going to look at the other side. What I'm going to do is, this has helped me sometimes. I'm just going to shine this light through here and see if I could find a hole. It's looking very exciting for you folks, I know. Close your eyes if you're getting dizzy. Okay, so I see where everything's going there. Yeah, let me see something. I think I've spotted it. So, yeah, it's the fourth one here. So if I look carefully, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, so they're actually different, Bruce. They are different. They're not supposed to connect. I ruined it for no reason, I think. I will show you why. So, maybe that's a problem with the way your board is, or something. So, let's look at this here. So, we have 2 pins here. So, this is the 4th pin. Right here. This is the 4th pin. So, here's the connector of the chip. And here's the connector, maybe, of that pad. So, maybe that's why it wasn't, you know... Oh, wait. No, is this the one? That's the 3rd one. Wait, hold on. Maybe I'm counting wrong. No, yeah, it's the 4th. It's the 4th. So, the 4th pin here... Oh. Bruce has just shot down my whole conspiracy theory there. Very instantly, I might add. Get a grip on what the heck I'm doing here. Okay, so this 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it probably would be. I wish there was a way to invite you to broadcast with me, but that's probably not easy. Unless you want to FaceTime, and I'll mute ourselves, and the viewers will feel like they're not part of the action, but probably help me out a lot. Oh boy. Let me just look at the other side of this real quick. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, because there's another line. Maybe? Wait. Yes. Okay, never mind. Yes. The trace comes up to another pin via under pin 3 of the power connector. So let's go back down here. Yes, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This 4th pin here, this is the problematic one, I'm assuming. This one right here. So this was the pad that's next to the chip. Is that correct? This line right here. This is the one that's supposed to connect to that chip. here. Because this would be pin 3, and if you're saying it comes up under pin 3, I believe this is the trace for pin 4. Okay, so here is where I have to stick a wire through and touch the IC foot there. Would that be correct? So I need to somehow get a wire through this hole. Don't ask me how I'm going to do that. Huh. How the heck am I going to do that? I mean, there's no hole. The one next to it, of course, looks like there's more of a hole. But there is a tiny, tiny hole. But am I just going to scrape away that plastic to get under there and risk destroying the hole? Just like I did with the other one? Or should I just go completely around the board? just drag it here all the way around, loop it on the side of the board. And oh, now we're just getting silly. With a very fine needle. Unfortunately, I do not have a needle present. What I can do, just to test things, I assume, is I could go from here and just have a wire that's insulated running across here, go through this hole, go through the other side, and then connect it where it has to. Now that I'm seeing this under a microscope, I'm looking at how dirty this hole is. Which is all lovely. But, huh. Well, yeah, that's fun. Bruce is like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Bruce is like, why the hell would you run a wire all the way over there? I'm gonna have to remember where I put my sewing kit. Okay, think, Steven, think. Well, this is turning into a much longer live stream than I was anticipating. I do have individuals that should be stopping by for company and fun purposes. And I don't want to be a bad house guest and sit in my basement looking at a computer that's 30 years old, talking to what may seem like imaginary people on YouTube because nobody could hear the other end of the conversation. So, let me run upstairs, see if I could grab a sewing needle, and I guess we'll trek on for a little bit further. Probably not too much longer, I say with you know, some certainty. But I'll be right back. Let me see if I can find something. Find something sharp enough to get through that little hole there. Okay. Let's see if this will help us out here. I have this little sewing kit that has everything, all types of weird gizmos in here plus sewing materials. So, just because, you know, this is crazy, let's show you exactly what the heck is in here, because I think it's funny. We have a little doohickey here. This is a Sun Microsystems branded radio. This is one of these little things that you would go to a website, put a logo on, and you know, just print out a bunch of them and just give them away at a conference or an event or something. Not, you know, official Sun merchandise or anything. Just, you know, some slap your label on a thing type deal. And this is, says a radio of some sort. We also have little micro switches for a Raspberry Pi, battery, some of these things to hold wires in place. But yes, there should be a sewing needle in here someplace. This is a rather large sewing needle, but let's see if that will work. So it would help if I'm actually focused on the spot where we need to be focused on. Maybe. Oh, Bruce, that's very encouraging. Well, I still like my idea of running a stupid long wire around the board just to see if it's that causes the issue, but I realize that's probably not the best solution here. So, okay, we actually have a decent sharp image on the screen now. So here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is that. So Dale, you're saying with your 610, you think there are 2 burnt resistors and 1 cap near the sound output settings that you need to repair. Well, that sounds like fun. I'm sure each of these machines have their own fun. Wow, this is so tiny. Yeah, I definitely... it's not that that's... My thought process behind this, Bruce, is... I'm not 100% convinced that that's the only issue with this board. And so my thought process is, first off, this looks a little suspect right here. To me, that looks a little suspect right here. But my other thought here is, if I could rule out, if I connect this to where it's supposed to go, and I rule out that is not fixing the problem, then I would look at something like this as well. I mean, this to me, I don't know, that may look a little suspect here, but I'm just going to poke this a little bit, see if I could. Of course, there's some thread on the needle, because that's what you would usually put on a sewing needle. Yeah, that's just the way I was thinking. Not to, of course, by any means say that your suggestion of repairing the trace correctly was wrong, because it is not. I mean, that's obviously, if you were trying to fix this issue, I would 1,000% agree with you. That would be the way to do it, especially because you have much more experience with this than I would. But this does look suspect. I don't know if you agree with me, Bruce, but it's very dark around here, and I don't know if that's just the layers of the board here that make it look a little suspect, but let's see if there's let me see something real quick, because I'm curious if I bring my little multimeter over here. Of course, I smack the camera. That's not good. Sorry, camera. Yeah, I'm gonna see, because there is a spot where this leads to that will help if the. It doesn't look like there's any copper for that to touch on this side, but well, let me just show you. If we follow that trace over here, it goes right between these 2 pins. And right between these two pins here, it's a little, well, it looks like it's a little worn. I wouldn't say it's there's anything particularly exposed, but you could see that trace there. Of course, my thumbnail is going to be the one to point it out. No, Steven, your thumbnail's too fat to show what you're talking about. This little thing, I mean, that looks a little suspect to me, but that's just a thought. But okay, yeah, let me let's see what we should do first here. I'm guessing that if I can, yeah, just to rule this out, just to rule that, because I'm curious here if there's something more to it, but just to rule this out, Bruce, I may just attach a piece of solder to right here with that wire, run it around the opposite side of the board, and just connect it to that IC. If things work fine, then whoop-de-doo, that'll be great. But I have a suspicion here that, oh, is this actually moving stuff here? What is this doing? I'm just cleaning the dirt off of it, I guess. I have a suspicion here that there's a little bit more to this, unfortunately. So I guess I shouldn't get too carried away. But I'm just getting some of this gunk that looks like it's around there. But okay. I'm just seeing if there's really any. Let me go to the other side here. Just since I'm poking it at one side, might as well poke it on the other. Again, let's get the microscope in a microscope. Wow, microscope in a good place here. And again, the focus needs to be adjusted because there's different depths on here. And oh boy, oh, that looks pretty, doesn't it? Ugh. I could definitely use something with actual opticals other than a plastic lens here. Because, yeah. Now, see, this up here kind of has the same look to on the other side, where there was, you know, just a little bit worn away there. But, yeah, I mean, with everything so close to these capacitors, I would not be surprised if that, you know, is something that was causing a problem there. But doesn't help that I pulled the darn hole out of that thing now, did it? So okay, so let's I guess let's move on then, because if I just keep hypothesizing, nothing is going to happen, is it? So what I will do is I will temporarily scrape away some of the copper there in this area. And what I will try to do then is put a wire onto that point. Let me just focus this, and then I'll use a tool that actually, oh come on, to show exactly what I want to do here. So what I'm going to do is take a wire and attach it to this pin, maybe this hole, maybe that's probably the strongest point, just even temporarily, and then try and attach it to the other leg on the other side of the board. So that is what I'm going to do, and see if that resolves the problem we're getting. So who knows? So let's just scrape this. This is really difficult because, let me take my glasses off. Maybe this will help, but I don't know. just trying to see if there's... Of course, I take my glasses off, I have to put them back on. It's very difficult to tell what's going on here. Alright, so there's some copper that I have exposed there. Again, probably the next thing I'll be doing is getting a half-decent microscope here, because obviously what I'm using isn't the best, but it's what I got right now. And of course, so this is why I talk about where I say the lighting is terrible with this thing. So it has a little LED light on it, but when you dim it a little bit, you can actually see a little better. So you can see there is some exposed copper there. So I'm just going to continue with that a little bit, just to make sure I have something good and sturdy to attach my little jumper wire to. And hopefully this, if this solves it, of course I will be doing a much better job of leading the wire through and this and that. But at least we would have solved the problem. But my greater concern is that Bruce has a Quadra 610 that he couldn't get to work, which is a little concerning. Because if these machines are sort of notorious for being hard to fix, exactly, Bruce, this is making you want to have another go at yours. I would gladly stop this second and let you go and try and fix yours, because anything that you figure out would only aid me in my resurrection of this board. But we will try this first. So that looks like there's enough copper for me to attach a wire to. Now I do have a few wires to choose from. So let me pull out my little box here, which is conveniently located. Where'd it go? I just saw the darn thing. Hold on. Oh, box of boxes. Where did that box go? Here it is. So I do have a few different gauges of wire here. Oop. Ah, well, you're removing the battery holder. Yeah, it's in a bad spot on this board. So I have some 34 AWG gauge wire and some 28 AWG gauge wire. The 34 is definitely thinner, so that may actually be what I should use here. So if I put this wire there, you'll see, I mean, the wire is still pretty large compared to the trace, but not by too much, and that insulation there will burn away. So I guess what I will do is I will cut a piece of wire here and go from there. Thankfully we have a spool here, so we don't have to be too stingy with the amount of wire we use. And this is always fun because just having this wire be still is going to be fun. You know what, I'm going to actually thread it through the whole of this. I'm going to actually tie it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tie it, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that later on. But just sort of anchoring it to one side of this board, and that should not cause us any immediate problems or anything like that. But I should actually, where'd my tape go? I have some not very good. Well, I could use some of this blue tape here, just to keep the wire sort of flat and not dancing around as much. Because if I'm putting this there, I just don't want it to get too much in the way here. So if I put, so what I'm just doing is just putting some tape down to hold the excess wire, so it's a little easier for me to attach it to, not that point, to this point here. So this will be exciting, and by exciting I mean, hey, watch me screw up. So again, the lighting sucks here, the camera sucks. We got a lot of problems here, but what I'm going to try and do is just try and make this work. So yeah, let's move this wire sort of where it should be. We're going to get a ton of this disgusting flux that Bruce wants removed from the planet. And I know I'm going to do this wrong. I need tweezers to help hold that wire. And I actually have to probably move this entire board, so I'm a little more comfortable with the angle that this is going here. Actually might need to cut this wire a little bit. Jeez. Well, I guess let me put some solder first on the little pad there. That might help me. I know the first video I'm watching again is as soon as I'm done with this is Bruce's pad video, because I feel like that's going to be part of my future, is unfortunately doing more of these. So okay, so that looks like, I mean, it looks worse than it does on the camera because the camera doesn't want to focus. Well, that flux is garbage, Jesus Christ. So a little cotton Q-tip guy. Well, that just looks lovely now, doesn't it? Ugh. Why does everything look burned? Jeez. Nice. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this with one hand on the soldering iron. There we go. I don't know if it's just the board that got... Huh. Alright, well. Anyway. So, what I'm going to do, I think, is just because I'm trying to do this very carefully, you find the bevel part of the tip here. Flux there. And I will need some more solder. I wish I had 3 hands. Just put that there. One of the RAM ICs. Okay. Well, that's good to know, Bruce. Thank you. I doubt this is going to work, but... Did that actually work? Did it actually work? So let's... Yeah, that wire is actually on there pretty good. So, okay, so I'm going to actually just move my little tape here. I'm going to reposition the wire so that I could put the tape back over the entire wire. So let's just prevent that from touching anything or anything like that. Okay, it's not pretty, of course, but we're just trying to test something. And there go the tweezers off the table. Alright, so now, just to show you the crude job I did here and explain my madness. Let me just transition to the other camera. So what I've done is where that blue tape is, that's where we've attached a wire to that hole that was missing that metal. That wire is going up here. I actually looped it through this hole to secure it, and now we have this wire hanging off there. We're going to attach that to the leg of the IC there. So just a refresher of what the heck we're doing here. I'm going to switch back to this. I know it's a very shoddy, quick little job that we're doing, but I am intensely curious if that will resolve this, or at least help us lead to figuring out what the heck is going on here. So yeah, so that's where we had to put it. We have our little wire here, so this wire essentially has to go there, and it has some space there. It doesn't. We don't obviously want to touch this pin here because that goes to something different. But since there's no hole there or anything, I could just temporarily do this, and then obviously if this works better, I even have a jeweler's drill. I could probably drill through that hole very, very carefully, and just get to the other side, put a wire through. So that may work out. But let's just try things simple here. We don't want to do anything destructive that we don't need to do at the moment. So I'm going to put a little more solder on that leg so we actually get some get a better chance of getting something to stick there. Okay, and let's go. It's hard to get this right under there. Come on. It's actually not really sticking to that leg there. I don't know if it's like too smooth, or obviously there's this crap around here now, which I'm assuming is that lovely flux I have, which is making itself known. Or maybe it's just the layers of crap that were here. I don't know, to be honest. Just trying to rough that up a little bit so I could get some grip on there. Yeah, the pin is smaller. I think that the heat is maybe where's my stupid flux here? It's not just flux, it's stupid flux. Yeah, let me clean the end of my iron here. It doesn't seem to be happy right now. Okay, a little solder got on there this time. Again, it might just be these crummy tips that I got that don't seem to like to transfer a lot to these things. But you know what? Let's try this cable here. Come on, it's hot enough. You should be able to just... My vision is terrible, and this is not helping. Alright, it is connected. Not that well. Dare I try to resolve it? You know, it is connected. I'm going to... Oh, God, that looks horrible, but I will try it. Just give it the old try there. It seems that... Well, I will try more flux. It seems that whatever I try and do, it does not seem to want to work with these pins, or I don't know if it's the pins or a combination of the crap I'm doing or what. But, of course, the camera moved off center there. Yeah, that looks like it's connected much better. So whether this will solve the problem or not, I really have no idea. It is worth a try. At the very least, it is worth a try. So what I'm going to do is let's switch to our other camera here. We're going to put the board back on the table because that is the power supply is in there, and it's a little difficult to take everything out at this point, so I'd rather just keep it all together. I'm going to carefully put this on the desk here. Okay. And you may think, oh, there's bare metal. No, there's actually a piece of plastic here on the bottom of this board here. So, all right, let's lift up these connectors here, and let's try and slide this board back in. And of course, there are these connectors sort of sitting around. There we go. And let's plug that power connector back in. Okay. Let's plug in everything. Why the heck not? Let's plug our floppy cable back in, our speaker back in, and our power LED back in. Yes, I will zoom out in a bit. I just was putting the thing on the desk there. Okay, so let's move some of this crap out of the way. So we could see the board is in here. Here's that area where I sort of adjusted that wire there. I don't have this plugged into a screen, but I will plug this in to the outlet and see if we get any changes here. So I will bring the camera closer. No, not the camera. I'm just adjusting the. So I want you to be able to see the light if that turns on, and the speaker's plugged in. So if it does chime, we should hear it. But let me just use this pen to hit the power cable button here. Nope. Still the same, I believe. Oh, floppy disk drive is making some. It ejected the floppy disk. Wait a second. Let's turn this off. I have a VGA cable here. Let's plug this guy. Let's plug this guy in, and let's turn this monitor to VGA mode, and let's move the camera a little bit away so we can see the monitor too. I'm curious. Let's see what happens here. Let's turn this on again. Holy smokes! Look at that! That's amazing! Oh my goodness! That's great! fantastic. It was just that little stupid wire. Wow. How about that? This is amazing, guys. I did not expect that to work. Oh my goodness. Well, you have to look at that for yours now, Bruce. Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Let's put this floppy in. I don't think there's a system on this disk, but we'll see. Yeah, no, it didn't like it. Oh, that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. Let's see, what do we got here? We got, I think we have a Disk Tools image around here somewhere. Oh, what am I messing around with that for? I have a SCSI to SD adapter, but, fantastic. Alright, so, I still didn't hear a chime. That very well could be that the volume is set off on this machine. So let's Bruce is all excited with his now. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to get a SCSI cable here with my SCSI to SD adapter. And we're just going to see. Let me turn the soldering iron off for now for a second. I'm going to put these memory modules in here. It was that pin, Jay. It was that pin. So it didn't chime, but that may be because the volume was set off. To the off position, rather. So what I'm doing is plugging in my SCSI to SD adapter here. And we want to see if we could boot this off of... I think this may require a special version of System 7 and so on, so I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't boot right away. But I am very curious. Very curious. Alright, so... I do have the original hard disk and the CD drive for this. They're on the shelf somewhere, and they probably are not labeled. No, actually, no, I do think I did label them, actually. So, I put some more memory in. I'm going to plug in a... Where is my ADB mouse? That's right, I was playing with the tech step, and all my cables are over here. Let me just grab one of those cables. Now, this is exciting. I'm glad I didn't just cut the stream off in frustration. Okay, so I have an ADB cable here. So to get the sound on, I'm going to have to boot this system off of something and change the sound of the control panel. Resetting the PRAM may do that as well, but let's just start with the basics here. Let's see. I mean, since the system turns on, that's great. Yes, Jay. Thankfully, I'm not going to touch that area right now. I'm not going to go too much further with this now that it is in a semi-working state. I'll probably do another stream where I fix that wire properly and such. But this is exciting. So let's turn this on again with our SCSI to SD adapter now plugged in and our keyboard plugged in. And do I have a mouse? Let me not break the ADB power rule here. And if I have a mouse, which I should, I mean, the amount of mice I have around in this basement is a bit absurd, but I'm not seeing one I could grab with an arm's length, so we're going to do without it for now. Now, I'm not seeing any power on the SCSI to SD adapter. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so this startup disk will not work. The video is also very dirty. It's very hard to explain. It looks blurry, the video. It could be the particular VGA adapter I'm using. But, yeah, I mean, it's complaining that the system disk is not the right one. I am curious, though, where I put the hard disk for this system. But let's reset the PRAM. Let's see if that'll actually reset the volume. So I'm holding down the PRAM buttons, Command Option PR. It does seem to be booting with the extra memory in there, so that's good. For the microscope fun. Thank you, Jay. It could be that the speaker's just busted, who knows. Because usually resetting the PRAM will reset the volume level. But that does not seem to be the case. But hey, maybe the capacitor that's controlling the sound is borked, so who knows? Who knows? Oh, eep! Sorry, Jay, I'm too excited. Your Universal Boot System 7 folder. Wow, that's is that, I'm gonna guess, is that made from the Universal Access Disk from 7.5, that floppy? Because that was always my go-to. I'll give you another eep there, Jay. Eep! Sorry. Now I feel bad. I'm just seeing if the stack of floppies I have over here, if any are something that would work with this. Yeah, these are all much older, like System 6 and so. I did have a System 7.5 disk. Oh, this won't work. that's definitely not what we're going to be doing there. Hey, Dan. I'm in a good mood. We fixed something today. Well, it seems to be fixed. There's some there's still some tinkering going around here, but the machine turns on. So Bruce says, no, it's your own concoction. Has all the system enablers and runs on 7.1. Well, Bruce, color me excited and impressed. That is awesome. I'd like to get my hand on that. I'm tempted to shove it on an SD card now and try it, but I know these things take time and I'm not going to rush you. I'm just seeing if I have the original hard disk to this, because I'm pretty sure I took it out, labeled it, and put it aside. So if you give me a moment, I'm just going to stand up. Oh boy, been sitting down too long. And I'm just going to see if I could find the hard disk for this. It's interesting, I keep saying hard disk, not hard drive, and I always found that an annoying thing, because I always called it a hard drive, and then a friend of mine called it a hard disk, and I thought he was crazy. But now I find myself saying that once in a while, especially when I'm referring to older stuff. I do have an Apple Universal Boot Up CD, and I do have an Apple CD-ROM. So, oopsie, there goes everything that was piled up here. We could try that. We could try. I don't know if the CD-ROM works, so if this doesn't work, we could try looking for the hard disk. But let's sit down here. Let's turn this machine off. So here is an Apple CD 600i. It's a SCSI CD-ROM drive. It actually would fit. This Quadra 610 did not come with the CD drive, so there is no bezel for it. There is a metal frame here that we could. This is going to be a pain in the butt to remove. I kind of don't want to cut my fingers on this thing. There we go. Alright, so what you can do is, if you're upgrading this, you just get a CD drive like this, and it has this sled on it, and you're supposed to just, because there's plastic grooves here, you're supposed to just be able to slide the drive. Supposed to, if this pen wasn't in the way, slide the drive fairly easily into that slot. Now I'm not going to put it all the way in to click it, but I do want to just put it in enough so it's not the only thing there. Yes, the Quadra 610 and the Center 610 are essentially the same. There were different revisions that mine, unfortunately, is the lower end with the lower 6040 LC processor. But yes, the Centrus was what it was called earlier. Then Apple decided to just call them all Quadras. And so now that this is working, I can sort of tell that story in a nice video, which would be cool. So, okay, let's put this back a little bit. Oop, we don't want to run into the wire that we just fixed there. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on again. And put in our very much legitimate Apple Legacy Recovery CD-ROM. And see if it wants to attempt to boot from that CD. Now again, I don't know if this CD-ROM drive works. It was from Mike Stanhope from MacYak. He gave me his 9600. I couldn't get that thing to boot from nothing. I think this CD drive was from that. It could not work. I'm not sure. It seems to be spinning the disk. I can't really tell if it's actually trying to read it or not. And some of these old lasers and these old drives are temperamental. They don't necessarily like to read CDRs. So just trying to see if I can hear it. It sounds like it's trying to. Yeah, I don't think I have the exact CD for this. Let me just try and restart it. So it's not listening to the restart command from the keyboard, but I forget if these machines actually... Well, that's interesting. I'm not getting any caps lock light on the keyboard here. I don't know if the ADB ports are maybe malfunctioning. Let me turn this off before I stick my fingers all around the system. There are two ADB ports here, so I have... I'm going to try the other one. Yeah, that won't turn on, of course, Steven, because you have to use this. Okay, now I saw the lights go on the keyboard when I booted the machine up, so... So I think it's taking longer to start up than usual because I do have memory in there, so it's probably testing the memory. At least I hope it is, because now we're not getting a picture on the screen at all. Now let me turn this off again. Make sure I... Oh, it was off. Duh. Then we'll explain why. Alright, so I do hear the CD disk drive moving around a little bit. Usually to boot from a CD, it should actually detect it usually. Oh, we're getting some garbled video there. Interesting. Usually if you hold down the C key, it'll force it to boot off of a CD. But usually it should be smart enough to find it. Huh. This is a little concerning, to be honest with you, the jail bar pattern I'm getting here. That just goes to show you these capacitors, I guess, worked okay. Yeah, I mean, depending on the CD, depending on the model, it should be smart enough to recognize the CD-ROM drive. Now, there's some jumpers on here. The audio cable isn't plugged in. But that should not be an issue necessarily. Okay. Yeah, let me first let me turn this off because there is a screw that's supposed to go into the center of the board here. That screw is not plugged in, so not screwed in rather. So everything on this board is sort of not what I'm trying to say is the ports on the back aren't really secured in any way. So I'm just going to take a screw out of my random assortment of screws here and see if they fit in. This one might be a little too thick. Well, that might go. Let's see. Just to try and prevent this board from moving around as much as it is. No, that's way too thick. That's not going to fit there. Let's see what we got. These screws look like they're from an eMac. Just trying to fish a screw out of the bottom of this little cup here. Don't mind me. Pay no attention to the crazy person trying to fish screws out of a cup. I guess I could use my tweezers. That would make too much sense now, wouldn't it, though? Okay. That screw may work. Let's get a second one out just in case. This might actually work. Okay, let's try doing that. Alright, Jay, thanks for stopping by. Thank you for the super chat, sir. And enjoy your dinner. Alright, so I'm just trying to see if I could just fit this screw in here. It's one of these like kind of standoff things like for a motherboard. So I'm able to turn it with my fingers. It might, not really fit in here, but you know what? That's pretty sturdy. All right, so let's securely put in this. Let me move to the above camera here, just to give you a better idea of what I'm doing. So you can see how crowded my desk is right now. Let's undo this here. All right. And so these adapters, unfortunately, these little DB15 to VGA adapters, most of them sort of require that you actually put the screws into the back of the port. And if you don't do that, sometimes a VGA connector can't go completely down. But we're going to just put that in there, so that's making a nice tight connection there. And then we'll plug in our VGA connector there. Okay, and yeah, so we have our CD-ROM. I'll try once more with this CD-ROM, and we'll see. Maybe those jailbar patterns will go away, hopefully. Let's see. So I'm holding down the C key. And we're seeing if it's going to decide to boot from the CD drive. It may not, but we will see. So we don't have the jailbar pattern anymore. That's good. So the VGA connector is firmly in place. CD-ROM drive is making some noises, not necessarily any happy noises. I don't detect any happy noises there from the CD-ROM drive. So I am just going to grab another CD-ROM drive. I just want to see if this detects the memory and such. I promised to look for the original hard disk. I'm going to get up and I'm going to actually do that now. So, yeah, let me check for that real quick. Let's see if I could locate where I put that. Okay, well, I'm finding pieces of the system. So, here's the original getting started guide for the 610. So this came in the boxed 610 that I got, which is, of course, the one that's on my desk here. And then here is the case for the 610. So this is the case. You can see there's no CD-ROM drive on this one. What's really cool is look at that. Look at that AppleCare sticker. So there's actually a few layers of AppleCare stickers on here. And yes, unfortunately, the little release latch broke on this one. The other one I taped on there because it was very brittle. You also see there was some rust or residue or some gunk that got on there. This obviously needs some good cleaning. And I was not prepared to do any of that because the machine didn't work. But it's interesting. If I peel this back a little bit, you could sort of see it says AppleCare. And there's some numbers there. I stopped peeling because actually the list says Accentris. It's funny. You could kind of see it there. I know the camera's terrible and I apologize, but it does say Centris there. So I want to keep these stickers on. Maybe I could use a high-powered light. Try and read through them or something. I am still looking for the hard disk, so it might be over here. So let me just go on this side of the basement for a second. I will continue the search. Well, I found a disc that doesn't have the label on it, but maybe I just didn't label it. So this is a 160 megabyte SCSI hard disk. Turn this off. You know, I'm not going to slide this in because I'm going to probably take it out anyway. Take out the SCSI cable. Here. Take out the power cable, put it here. And we'll just rest it on here for a second. So I don't even think this is the right disc, but we'll see. We will see in a moment now, won't we? I love that noise. Oh, it's trying to boot. Okay, this should work, maybe? I'm trying to remember what system this hard disk is from. It might be this one, I'm not 100% sure. I have a mouse plugged in and everything. So I am getting some strange video pattern here, kind of. They're very faint, like a jail bar pattern here. SmartCom. Yeah, there's something sort of screwy with the video memory. Let me bring the camera closer to give you guys a peek here. Sort of explain what I'm seeing. You can see there's sort of not your standard dithering and pattering there. There's something a bit off. It's very hard to see on the camera probably, but you can see there's a lot of blanks between these lines and such. Very, very subtle, but if you never used one of these machines before, you probably couldn't tell, but there's like these little beige lines that are running through everything. So, okay, yeah, so I might have to deoxidize the video connector. I do have a can of that stuff. Probably will not be doing it tonight, but just something I noticed. So, thank you, Dan, for the suggestion. I will do that. This might be... The contents of this hard disk do not look familiar to me. This very well could be the hard disk from this machine. Let's go to About This Mac. Recognize it as a Macintosh Quadra 610. We have a total of 24 megabytes of memory. We are running System 7.1. If I go to the memory control panel, I can see virtual memory is off. Let's see. I'm trying to see, because this did come with the modem. It came with a fax modem, an external fax modem. I believe it was a SmartCom. Let me just double check my phone, because I had pictures of on my phone of what modem it came with. If the modem is actually a SmartCom modem, I would bet that then this is the hard drive from the Quadra 610. So let's double check here. So I got this machine in September. And I'm just scrolling through my pictures here. Oop, that's not what I wanted to look at. Yeah, so here's I'm looking at pictures of the box it came with. I'm looking at the capacitors, what they look like before, and oh yeah, so this is interesting. So here's a picture. We're looking at a picture of a picture. This is a picture of the capacitors before I removed them. You can see there's a blue-black piece of sludge right where we had to run that pin. So of course this is not focusing because this camera hates me today. But yeah, I mean it's quite apparent there why we need to run that wire. If I would have looked at this photo, I obviously marked it up for some reason at one point, and there goes the mouse. Yeah, okay, that is that would explain a lot. I'm just seeing if I have a picture of that modem. Let's see. I don't think I do, but you know, since the contents of this hard drive are not familiar to me, I'm going to double check the hard drive size that came in this model, because if that's the case, I'm pretty much willing to bet that this is the drive that came with this computer. So let me just look for a classic Macintosh here on Mac Tracker, and just go to the Centrus 610. Either came with an 80, 230, or a... Okay, so this is neither an 80 or a 230, but that's for the Centrus 610. If I go to the Quadra 610, it says either 80 up to 500. So maybe that sticker on the whatchamacallit, the case might, you know, clue me in. But I mean, this could just simply be another hard drive from another system. Just because it has this modem software, I believe it was a SmartCom modem. That leads me to believe that this was the system. There is hardly anything on this disk here. The keyboard is also not responding, which is weird. So the mouse is plugged in through the keyboard, but my keyboard commands are not responding. Let me try and go open up Notepad. Okay, yeah, it is typing. Okay, so interesting. So maybe my Mac tracker is not accurate here. That wouldn't surprise me. But okay, so we have Mac check here. What's TP manager? Total peripherals. Okay, so it's like some sort of SCSI manager, which would they did have an external SCSI cable. There was no drive with this, but maybe they had an external SCSI drive at one point. Let's open up Mac check. It's going to tell me how horrible this computer is. Yeah, this is when I would love to just capture the screen instead of pointing the camera so far away from what I'm doing here. But let me bring it a little closer here just to show you what's going on. But I'm very excited here because I thought it would be worse than this, but looking back at the that photo on my phone, that sure would explain why this machine wouldn't boot up. And now I have to, of course, fix that wire in a much prettier solution. I'll wait till my good flux comes, hopefully in a day or so. The lovely whir of the hard drive. But this is exciting. I'm glad I got something to work. Usually the streams don't turn out this way, guys. It's taking its sweet time here. Okay, here we go. So this is Mac Check 1.0.3. Macintosh Quadra 610. Of course, the date is wrong. 24 megabytes of memory. There's nothing in its proprietary NUBUS card slot there. Quantum hard drive, 160 megabytes. System 7.1. It has had a laser writer printer connected to it at one point, maybe. But we have some diagnostics. RAM test, clock interrupt test, SCSI passed. Alright, so this is pretty cool. It's basically doing what the tech step would do. Mac detected a problem. Please look at the results log and see what the problem is. Okay. Oh, Lisa was the username on this machine. Interesting. So someone named Lisa owned this machine at one point. I don't know if that's the person I got it from. They did say they wiped the machine. Now I'm remembering, they did say they wiped the machine before they gave it back to me. So they very well could have taken their personal stuff off it, which would make sense because there's not a lot on here, just some applications and stuff. So we have Microsoft Word, Microsoft Movie. What the heck is Microsoft Movie? Looked like it had a QuickTime logo almost. Just to like convert things or what? The heck is this? I also have to test the sound. I haven't tested if the sound works yet. Can only be run within the application that supports object linking and embedding. Okay, probably something with Microsoft Word, I guess. Let's open up the sound control panel. Where the heck is sound here? There it is. Alright, so we get no volume from the system speaker. So maybe the system speaker is broken, or maybe one of the capacitors for the audio is not making the best connection there. This machine may sort of be all over a little bit of a mess here. But this is interesting. There's a cache 040 switch here. So yeah, this would make sense that this is that machine because it has an 040 processor, an 040 LC processor. See, Microsoft Word version 6. Yeah, this is essentially like a Power Macintosh 6100, different board design, different architecture, and a 68 LC 040 processor. Microsoft Word 6.0. Yeah, I mean, this is a blazing 25 megahertz here, so... No, it will not run that. Alright, so yeah, we have our document here. So the delete key doesn't work on this keyboard. It might be the keyboard. It might be the ADB port here. I don't know. I just don't know. Nothing would surprise me with this machine at this point. There we go. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past this program to be slow either, but cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to play around with this thing more. I want to try and fix some of these things here, like the audio issue and the video issue. Let's see, we've got FileMaker here. Got HyperCard. Oh, I love Chicago, even at weird high sizes. But yeah, this is pretty darn cool. I'm glad we got this working. I'm going to assume this is the original hard drive for it. I will probably be doing another stream of this where I play around with it further because I want to clean this up a little bit and get everything working. I don't know what is necessarily wrong with the video, but this is probably the best example here. So if you look closely, it's like not really, like there's sort of like this jail bar pattern. You could sort of see it. There, that's a good example. You can see it has these vertical lines running through everything. So yeah, I mean that is kind of weird. Yeah, let me go to the monitor control panel real quick. I'm just curious. Maybe there's something weird set. No, set to 256 colors. Yeah, that's set to black and white. Yeah, see, if I set to black and white, I even get weirder things. Yeah, something is fishy here. Yeah, something is definitely, maybe it's just a bad contact with one of the capacitors or the memory chips or something. Maybe if I use VRAM sims, it will bypass the memory. Maybe the memory has some corrosion on it. Who knows? But I'm going to actually shut this machine off for now. It has been running like a champ here. Turn this off. Let me put the camera back on the tripod. Again, I dropped the mouse, which is not very nice of me, but holy smokes, that actually worked. So I'm very excited that I got this machine to work. I appreciate the tips from Jay and Bruce of trying to get this and everyone else in the chat who was giving me some nice suggestions. It's really funny that a little pin like that could cause the whole machine just to come on in a weird state there. Now, we still have some problems. The audio does not work, and we're getting some weird video stuff. So I would like to properly recap this now that I know I'm not going to waste my time doing it, that we're going to have some success here. I will properly recap this machine in another stream. See if I can get any of those other issues fixed as well. But I'm very excited. I have something to look forward to tinkering around with this. At least I know I'll hopefully at least get to the state I'm in right now, and hopefully we'll fix some of the sound and the video issues. But I'll stick around for a few minutes if anybody has questions or anything like that, and then I'll sign off from the stream. But this has been a lot of fun. I am very satisfied that I made the progress that I did. I must admit, a lot of the times when I do this stream, these types of streams, I come in with very low expectations because of just the track record that I've accumulated. Yeah, so here's again the Getting Started book, which is pretty cool. It's actually in pretty darn good condition here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Look at that. I love this line art. Yeah, I'll have to try external speakers, Dale. That is something I'll have to try to see if it's just the speaker or if it's the sound port. But if I'm getting some distorted video, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a reason why I'm getting distorted video and audio. That's right, the restart and interrupt switches are on the back of the machine. Yeah, this machine is also very dirty, so I'd have to do a nice cleaning of this machine as well. That's interesting. Look at that. It gives you a nice diagram of the inside of the system. Can I bring you up to speed? Sure, Aaron, just for you. So, just a recap of what we did on this stream. We were trying to see if we could repair this Quadra 610. Back in September, I got this, and I realized the capacitors were bad. When I turned it on, I would get the death chimes, you know, the da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun. And the machine wouldn't really do anything other than turn on and make those chimes. The capacitor smelled funny. I showed you the photo on my phone there of the capacitors having a problem. And so I decided to recap it. Well, that didn't solve the issue, and apparently the trick was that on one of those little integrated circuit chips, one of the little feet connecting to the circuit board was supposed to connect to another trace on the board, and it was supposed to connect a signal. And I guess the capacitor ate away at that, and it just was not able to make that signal. So I tried to cut away and resolder that, but unfortunately I ripped out the the hole that I was trying to solder to. So what I did was I put some solder on the part where I had to go from one place to the other, and I just ran a cable literally from the top of the board to the bottom, just as a very rudimentary, let's see if this works. And it did, so that really surprised me. And then after that, we tried to get it to boot, and I found the original hard disk, what seems like it is. And there's some serial numbers on here, so I'll probably be able to confirm that. But yeah, it seems to be working pretty well now. We still have some issues, sound-related stuff, and the video has some weird issues here. And maybe it's just the capacitors I'm using. Maybe I would not be surprised at all if those capacitors are not making the greatest connection through the solder, because that solder looks a little dirty. I probably didn't clean those pads as well as I could have. But yeah, I am pretty amazed that this is working well. There is a way to install NuBus cards in this system. I think I saw one of those adapters on eBay. I'm gonna have to look and see to see if there's a good way to play around with this. I do have a DOS card with that works with this machine too. So I do have a DOS compatibility card, which is somewhere. So once I get this machine working, I'd love to play around with a lot of these things with it. But yeah, I guess that's about it. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I appreciate you tuning in. And I'd like to thank you for sticking with me. This has been almost 2.5 hours here. Geez. So my original estimate of, I'll only do an hour. Well, that, of course, just, you all know how that turns out. But, yeah, so I appreciate all the feedback, everybody. And I do have some new tools and stuff to try and use during my next stream. So I'll be excited to play around and see you then. Between now and then, if you want to catch me on Twitter or Instagram, my handle is Mac84TV. And if you want to support me on Patreon, just search for Mac84TV on Patreon, or Mac84 rather. And you could follow the link in my YouTube channel. I have my Patreon links and stuff in there as well. Or just go to Mac84.net. There's some information there. But yeah, so it was quite a fun stream, and I'm glad to have saved this machine, at least temporarily. We'll continue in another stream, I'm sure. But thanks, guys, and I'm going to awkwardly hit that end stream button as always. And I will say goodnight. So take care. Happy Wednesday. I didn't hit the